Why does anxiety always come back? As someone who struggled with anxiety for 27 years before I found something that worked for me long term, I want to answer that question for you in this video because I'm sure you had moments so far where you were trying different things and you had this moment in therapy or reading a book or in a meditation where you did find relief, or even maybe taking medication or a supplement where you did find relief and where things did get better for a while. It could have been for a day, for a week, 3 weeks, 6 months, maybe even a couple of years, but then anxiety came back. This is something that often happens, and that it was happening for me as well. From the moment I realized anxiety is what I was dealing with at 27 when I started therapy, to the moment where I actually found the long-term solution, which was about 5 years later, that I was trying, and some of them did work for a while. I did talk therapy, I did theta healing, I did journaling all the time, meditate daily. I was watching different videos, reading books, and just trying to figure it out. And through that time, I did have ups and downs. I actually, after about 3 years, I had a moment where I had the best year ever, that was followed by one of the worst 6 months in my life, if not the worst, where I ended up in a very chaotic romantic relationship that really took over my life and my mind and got me to places that I didn't think were possible. And that was the moment when I came across transformational hypnotherapy that actually helped me long term to overcome my anxiety. This was 7 years ago and it's still working, so I can say it has been long term. So what was it about transformational hypnotherapy that made a difference for me and that made that change that happened long term instead of just short term relief that goes away? So the first thing was that I was actually able to access the part of me that was feeling anxious and really understand what she was going through, what she was dealing with, what caused her to feel the way that she's feeling, what caused her that pain, what caused her that anxiety, sadness. I was able to see the big picture as well as in a very focused way, what is she feeling and what she's going through. And because I was able to access her in that way and have all that understanding, have that knowledge on a very deep level, I was able to give her the compassion, the love, the validation that she needed in order to heal, in order to find relief, in order to feel better. Why I wasn't able to do that, I realized later on within other methods that I have tried, was because these parts of us, these younger parts of us that we often call the inner child, are tucked behind a barrier. And that is the barrier, the border between our conscious thinking, analytical mind and our subconscious mind. Subconscious mind is actually where our emotions are coming from and where the anxiety is coming from. So to be able to resolve that anxiety, we need to be able to understand why that anxiety got created, why, where, and when, so we can help the part of us that's feeling that anxiety to find relief and to be set free. So what transformational hypnotherapy was able to do for me was to use a proven process that works for a huge majority of people to actually lower that barrier and to keep it down for a long enough time to be able to explore in a very extensive way what was happening to me that caused my anxiety, and then to release that stuck emotion. Because hypnosis itself puts you in a state that's a little bit detached, that created more capacity for me to be able to process those emotions than I would be able to do in talk therapy or just by talking or analyzing it. And that allowed me to release a lot of pain, a lot of anger, a lot of sadness, a lot of these stuck unresolved emotion in just one go. So that was the first part, crossing the barrier, really accessing the part of me that needed healing. And then the second part was replacing those beliefs and those automatic patterns that were running in the background and coming from my subconscious mind into my thinking mind, into my everyday life, with something that is serving me better. So when you have an intense emotional experiences when you are 5 or 6 years old or 3 years old or 1 year old, that experience makes you make a series of conclusions about who you are, conclusions about the world, about other people. And those conclusions become in that moment your subconscious beliefs. Your subconscious beliefs are like the user manual for how to deal with the world. So when you encounter a situation, your analytical critical mind consults the subconscious mind to give it instructions on how to deal with that situation. And the subconscious mind consults the subconscious beliefs, the user manual, to give that information to your subconscious mind. When you start to deal with a situation in a certain way when you are 6 or 7 years old, which is when the barrier gets fully created and formed, the barrier between the conscious and the subconscious mind. So however many decades has passed in 6 or 7, and now however old you are now, you have been unconsciously repeating that way of dealing with certain situations. And when anxiety is the way that you deal with certain situations for 20 plus years or 30 plus years or 40 plus years or 50 plus years, then this is something that's becoming more and more enforced within your body. It's becoming more automatic. It's becoming more effortless for your body to do and to react exactly in the same way. So when you do understand where that came from and you release, that doesn't automatically stop you from reacting that way. What does stop you from reacting that way is to change beliefs that were stored in your subconscious mind. And we do that by listening to the new way we want to react, to the description of the new way we want to react in hypnosis, which means with that barrier lowered, so that those instructions go again directly into our subconscious mind. They get stored there, and then it becomes effortless for us. Then we react and we deal with the same situation we dealt with 6 months ago in a completely different way. These are the two things that transformational hypnotherapy helped me do in order to permanently change how I reacted in and behaved in my romantic relationships. So instead of reacting with anxiety when my potential partner wouldn't reply to my message, just didn't feel anxiety anymore, because first I understood where it came from. I helped and gave relief to the part of me that was feeling anxious before, and I programmed in a new way of reacting into my subconscious. So now when my conscious mind concludes, oh, he didn't respond for 2 hours, and consults my subconscious mind for the subconscious mind to tell it, okay, so how do I react to that? My subconscious mind says react with calm, because that's the new script that I have stored in my subconscious mind. This is how healing becomes permanent. And so when you look at talk therapy, for example, the reason why we see changes from talk therapy occasionally or after a while is that because a series of tools and methods and modalities we're stumbling upon lowering that barrier, and then for a moment we create this deep change that lasts for a while, but then the new piece of a puzzle comes up, and then we don't know how to recreate that again, because it was a different series of events that caused that barrier to lower. When we look at journaling or listening to podcasts or books, it's always the same. We had a moment where a series of events that we did before that culminated in us unconsciously lowering our barrier and shifting something in our subconscious mind. But we don't have a proven process on how to do this every time, how to do it for long enough, and then a proven process that would replace those old patterns with new ones. Even classic hypnotherapy, so not the transformational hypnotherapy that I practice and so many of us practice, but just like classical hypnotherapy that just is either giving you just positive reinforcements or is just regressing you to the parts of you that are hurting, doesn't give the same result, because it doesn't incorporate these two key things that need to be fulfilled in order for healing to happen and to stay there long term. Okay, healing we're looking at or are looking for, we always have to make sure that it's a modality that's working with the subconscious mind consistently, and that it allows you to create new patterns and enforce new patterns that will then become your new natural state way of thinking, behaving, and feeling. If you want to understand for yourself and experience for yourself how that looks like in practice, in my premium community Anxiety Free School, I have a free session that's called the Anxiety Free Starter Hypnosis session that you can try for yourself and see exactly how that looks like for you. This can sound a little bit abstract when I'm talking about it, but when you try it, it's very natural, flowy process that feels really good for most people. If you want to try this out, the link will be in the description below so you can try it for yourself. Thanks for watching. I'm here for any questions either on Instagram or in the comment below, and I will see you soon. Thank you.